Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Ryan Biller, and today for a very special episode, I'm joined by the Grand Junction-based band, Dead Nancy. We're performing 3 original songs. This is Amateur Hour. Awesome job, guys. So I think the first order of business is tell me a little bit about you guys' get up. So what exactly inspired the hoods and the masks, and just tell me about your guys' outfits.
So we dress like this because we choose to remain anonymous. We wear the mask to remain anonymous. And the reason we chose to dress the way we are is we all want unique personalities, but also have some type of uniformity also, you know. And we like to remain anonymous because we want people to focus on what we are producing and not so much more of how we look. Because so much of the music business nowadays is based on this person is attractive and they can sing and we can make them sound good in the studio, but we don't want to be that way.
Right. So what was the initial idea behind creating Dead Nancy?
It all started with these two back here, our guitarist and our drummer, and I guess these three, they all work together. And originally, them two were in a band. These two started out, and these guys started writing songs, and then I was the last to join.
So I know that you guys each have your guys' own stage name. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
I'm Denial. This is Guilt with the guitar. Anger is behind the drums because he likes to hit things.
Nice to meet you.
Depression is on bass, and we had an Acceptance, but God rest his soul. And we are supposed to be the 5 stages of grief. That is the goal of our names.
Very cool. And so what was the reasoning as to why you guys decided to do that?
So we classify our genre as murder mystery because Dead Nancy, our title track, which we are not going to play, involves the murder of Nancy.
So and who is Nancy?
Nancy is someone who helped us get through some tough times, but there's also something in us that caused us to create the monster that we are.
And is that real, or is that just part of the...
Totally real. It is totally 100% real.
Okay, very cool. So what is your guys' what is the general reaction to you guys from different audiences and things like that?
Well, when we play shows, we show up in our clothes. No one knows who we are when we show up, which is odd, but also is really nice. And then when we're done with the show, we demask, derobe, and we sit at our tables and watch the other bands that are performing. And we've had multiple occasions where we're like, why isn't anyone coming up to us? But then we realize that we are anonymous on stage. So, but typically people are not as crazily dressed as we are. So we think the reaction is good. And no publicity is bad publicity, you know?
Yeah.
So we like to surprise and be unique.
Very cool. So I also understand that, generally speaking, you guys perform around Grand Junction, right?
We have, yes.
And so have you guys performed anywhere else?
We have performed more gigs in Denver than we have in Grand Junction, actually.
So how often do you guys, would you say, perform a gig?
Last year, I think we had about 4 gigs, and it was sort of slow. So we're hoping to get more.
Now,
is there? Sorry.
Go ahead.
We also have one coming up in Grand Junction next weekend on March 7th.
So are you guys are based out of Grand Junction, then why do you guys go to Denver, just for the shows?
More opportunity. There's been some venues that have really entrusted in our capabilities, and down here in the Valley, we haven't had much luck with that.
Do you guys find that your audiences in Denver are different than your audiences in Grand Junction?
Absolutely. So because all of our families are down here, or most of our families, it's a lot more family members and friends that come there, whereas if we're playing at a bigger show, it'll be some more random people that we don't know, and especially if we're trying to remain anonymous, it helps us out in that factor, and then we get more outreach with our music as well.
Gotcha. Now, in terms of, the trajectory that you guys want your band to go, do you guys have any certain aspirations as to where you guys would like to be as a band in a few years?
We'd absolutely love to do this for a living, because we currently do not make enough money to do that. But that is the ultimate end goal, is to be able to create for a living.
And so what exactly would be the process of going about and doing that? Just playing more gigs?
Yeah, playing more gigs, eventually getting on a tour maybe with a different band, and then headlining our own tour, and then the sky's the limit from there.
So in terms of being anonymous, does your family, who do you guys reveal your true identity to?
Our family and friends definitely know They don't really have a choice, unfortunately. We'd like for them to not share our identity as much, but on social media they tend to. Usually it's just because they're like, hey, my son is playing, this is his band, please watch.
Yeah.
It's not just some random band, but we try to stress to them that this is like an important aspect of our band.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, switch gears a little bit. I know that you guys just played that recent song. So what is the title of that one?
Universe.
And so what was the inspiration behind writing Universe?
Universe is about, we picture ourselves as aliens and looking at Earth and seeing the situation that we're all in. So the first line that I sing is, your war showers Earth like a deadly disease. And I'm sure, as you know, the wars on Earth are detrimental to Earth.
Right.
So it's looking from an outsider's perspective onto Earth, and then at the ending, I also say, I will try to save your land. So it's us trying to eventually give a helping hand.
Would you say that most of your songs and most of your guys' work generally tries to, give a message to your audiences? Like
Absolutely, whether it be something that is helpful or something that is absolutely negative. Every song has something in it that you're trying to portray.
Right.
And I think we do a very good job of conveying messages in our songs.
What is the general process of writing lyrics and then creating a message for that song?
It depends on the type of song that we want to write. So basically, he'll write a guitar part, he'll add some drums to it, and then either he and I will write lyrics, or he'll have some lyrics already written for it. And then, depending on what message we're trying to convey with that song, if we just have an idea, something that we think of, something that we watch on TV, basically anything can be an inspiration for it. But as far as the writing process goes, it sort of goes, it's a circular thing.
Gotcha. Yeah. Now, you guys have another song coming up pretty soon. What's the title of that one?
Sow the Sand.
And so what's the general message behind that song?
That song is about a situation where a dear friend committed suicide, and it is our guilt in not being able to help more.
Okay, yeah. And
it's a heavy song. It really is.
Now, would you say that all your songs generally have the same sort of source of inspiration, not in terms of that specifically, but just generally speaking from the same sort of sadness? Do you guys pull from that sort of thing?
Sometimes. We try to definitely draw emotion with every song, and we want to be able to convey our emotion, and we hope that we are doing it well enough in order to spread that emotion,
Gotcha. Now, in terms of followers, do you guys have much of a following as a band?
Yes, out of our friends and family, we are doing very well. Other than that, there's not much. We do have all of our songs on all of the music platforms, so Apple Music, Spotify, all stuff like that. We have released 2 songs, Universe, which you just heard, Sow the Sand, which you will hear next. Everything's available online to hear, and we hope to gather some more outreach, especially by doing this as well.
Yeah, well, good luck.
Thank you.
All right, in the meantime, let's hear Sow the Sand.
Thank you.
Question that I had is, when you're dealing with more personal and more personal and kind of tougher subject matter, how do you guys go about doing that? And is that ever difficult when you're writing lyrics and performing?
No, I feel like it's easier, in my opinion, because stuff happens to you every day and you want to express that and you write about it. And so, in my opinion, personal experience is the best way to write.
So it's an outlet of sorts.
Yes, absolutely.
So as a collective group, what do you think that you guys probably get out of playing your music together?
It's a bonding experience, definitely. I mean, when I first met all these guys, I didn't know that we would become as close as we have.
Yeah.
And now we're brothers, essentially.
Yeah. Now, I know that you guys are anonymous, but I think it's okay to ask this question. How did you guys first come together as a band and meet each other?
Well, they all worked here at the school as janitors, and then I have been singing all my life. I was looking to join a band, and I posted on Craigslist to inquire, and Guilt texted me saying, hey, do you want to meet at my practice space in 2 hours? And so I did. It was a bit sketchy, especially because of the condition that the warehouse that we practiced in
Were they wearing these masks at the time? Or
no, thankfully.
Yeah.
It would have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for that. But yeah, that's basically how we met. And then these, Anger and Depression, were in a separate band. That band broke up, and we picked him up, and now he's with us.
In terms of practicing together, where do you guys do that, and what does the general practice session look like for you guys?
Well, we practice in Guilt's man cave, which is his shed outside of his house. And typical practice session, first 20 to 25 minutes is, hey, how was your week? What have you been up to? The next hour or so is either preparing a set list for the next show, making sure it's timed well and stuff like that, or writing new material.
Now, since you guys aren't doing this full time yet, how do you guys work that into your general week schedule and coordinate 4 different guys' schedule to meet up consistently?
We just set a time. We practice from 6 to 8 on Sundays, so while we have nothing going on.
So you set aside a time every time.
Mm-hmm.
Now you guys have another song coming up. What's that one titled?
Digital Purgatory.
And what's that one about?
That is about the time that we are trapped in where technology seems to be controlling our lives. And typically at this point in the show, I have asked personally that we turn technology off in the crowd so people will just focus on the one-on-one interaction that you're having with the band rather than taking a video on your phone and seeing it later.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's really frustrating.
Yeah.
I would rather you just experience this now than experience it later.
And that's a really common trend too at concerts. I mean, you see it all over social media and things like that. So, yeah, if you wouldn't mind, let's hear it.
All right.
All right. question that I had while I was watching that was, is it hard for any of you guys to perform with the masks on? Is that a problem at all?
For me, it was originally, because originally I was just a hood, and it would get caught in my mouth when I'd sing, so I wouldn't be able to breathe very well. But we've had very different stages of masks to where we've doctored them, and now we all have really, really good masks. So it's actually...
What is that mask process like? How do you guys go about finding the right one?
It was a lot of trial and error. Mainly it was just like, well, I sweat, and this one is now soggy mess, and I can't use it anymore, so I got to get a new one. And then we all found masks last Halloween that were pretty uniform, so we painted them with truck bed liner, did some crosses on the eyes, and now we all look like a band.
Yeah, there you go. In terms of the future, what's on the horizon for Dead Nancy in terms of music and upcoming gigs?
We are going to be in the studio at the beginning of March recording our next track, which is entitled Buried, and that will be hopefully released next month after that. And we have a gig on March 7th at Mutual Friends in downtown Grand Junction. We are headlining, so that's what's coming up. As far as after that, hopefully we should get some more gigs.
Yeah. Exciting stuff. Now, for anyone who wants to follow you, you touched on this briefly. How can they go about doing
that? Instagram, Dead Nancy Band. Facebook, Dead Nancy Band. Twitter, Dead Nancy Band. And I believe that is all we have. We have all the social media. And Spotify and Apple Music. Feel free to, please come and listen to our stuff. Follow us. We're going to be releasing as long as we can breathe.
Awesome. Good to know. Yeah. Dead Nancy, thank you guys for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having us.
And for everyone watching, thanks for watching. Be sure to follow Dead Nancy for their future endeavors. And in the meantime, if you guys want to play us out.